So let's say that someone that you love died and their money went into a special needs trust for a relative. And perhaps you've even been named as successor trustee of that special needs trust. How do you administer a special needs trust? You want to be able to carry out the wishes of the person who died, but how do you do that? In this video, I'm going to talk all about that, administering a California special needs trust. Okay, so you found out that you've been named as a successor trustee for a special needs trust, or maybe you're just curious about the process. The first thing you'll need to figure out is take a look at that special needs trust. You can meet with an attorney if you want, or watch this video at least to start, and look to see what type of special needs trust is it. Is it a first-party special needs trust or a third-party special needs trust? And I have a video describing the difference between those two trusts. You'll also want to look to see, is this trust court supervised or does it not need court supervision? Because those types of trusts are treated very differently. Then you'll want to look at the distribution standard. How can money be spent on behalf of the beneficiary? Does the trustee have full discretion? Are there any limits that say, hey, money shouldn't be used to decrease somebody's eligibility for public benefits? So you need to look at all of that language. Then also make sure that you understand who the beneficiary is. Find out all about the beneficiary. Where do they live? What's their birth date? What might affect things? Was there a memo of intent left by the parents to give you special instructions on the beneficiary? So you should meet with the beneficiary and other people involved. Might be relatives or friends, people who know the child who's benefiting from this trust. So find out from the child, what are their dreams? Do they have any illnesses that they need special doctors for? What are their hobbies? How can this money be best spent on their behalf? And then also you can figure out, are there some weaknesses? Might they spend money frivolously? And so you need to be careful. Typically, a special needs trust is supposed to pay for things for the child, so you wouldn't actually give them money directly, but you can put money into an ABLE account for them to spend. So these are all conversations to have. Then you should figure out, what are the diagnoses? What are the disabilities that the beneficiary suffers from? And figure out what public benefits are they currently receiving, and also what public benefits might be out there that they're not receiving yet, and you can help with the application process. I think it's really important to set up a distribution system. So this is a way that the beneficiary can ask for things. They can say, hey, I saw this really cool thing on Amazon. Can you please order it for me? Here's how much it costs. Here's how to order it. And then the trustee can order that item and it gets delivered straight to the beneficiary's doorstep. So you're just paying for items directly. I think a distribution request in writing is ideal, because then you have a paper trail. And one of the things that a special needs trustee always needs to do is keep track of all the money spent on the beneficiary and how it went in, what came out. You're keeping careful accountings every year. This is not a job for the light of heart. I do have other videos talking about how to choose a successor trustee of the special needs trust, because this is so hard to decide. This is the financial surrogate you. As you can see, as we're talking about right now, what does it look like when somebody is managing your child's special needs trust? Another thing I suggest that you do is you work with a financial advisor to help manage the underlying assets, somebody that you trust, and then also you should do financial projections. So seeing, given the beneficiary's disabilities, given what types of interventions they might need, their cost of living for where they live, their potential life expectancy, the financial advisor can run projections to see how much money can be spent every year and still have enough for their lifetime. Special needs trust is always looking at just really the beneficiary's benefit. Typically they're written that way, which I think is appropriate. And so we're not really worrying about saving up all the money for a rainy day just in case something might happen when they're 99. But we want to be liberal in spending money as much as we can, as much as safe, right? Because you're also responsible for shepherding and stewarding that money. But make sure that you're keeping a track of everything that you're spending, and sometimes even the reasons why you're doing that. If you have reasons why you're managing money with a financial advisor in some particular fashion, you should write that out. And I usually recommend, I'm not a financial advisor myself, but I usually recommend that the money be conservatively invested, that you don't go overboard in your aggressiveness, because we want the money to last for the beneficiary's lifetime. We're not trying to aggressively try to grow it to benefit the remainder beneficiaries. So as special needs trustee, you are responsible for filing income tax returns. So you'll want to find a CPA that you can work with who specializes in filing 1041 forms. Those are fiduciary income tax returns. As for the rules for filing taxes for a special needs trust, I've actually done a video on that, and you're welcome to watch that after we're done here. So in preparing for filing taxes, you'll need to get a tax ID number for the special needs trust. This is a separate tax ID number, and that's the number that you'll be filing taxes under. And then you'll be responsible for working with an accountant every year to make sure that those taxes are actually filed. So we've just scratched the surface of what it looks like for somebody to act as successor trustee of a special needs trust. This is giving you a picture that truly this is a lot of work, and it's not for the faint of heart, and it can last for years and years and years, unlike a typical trust administration that usually lasts 3 to 6 months. So you want to be really careful on who you choose as successor trustee. Since choosing a successor trustee for a special needs trust is so important and can be so challenging, I've actually done a separate video just on that subject. So please follow me over here.